Hey everyone, I'm Steve Wright, and you're listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast number 20. Yes, that's right, number 20. We made it all the way. And tonight on our episode number 20, we're going to attack and dispel the top 5 SCD diet myths as submitted by you. So way back a couple months ago, we put out a survey and we asked a lot of questions. What are some of your fears and frustrations surrounding the diet? Are you doing the diet? How are you doing on the diet? And we've been getting a lot of great results. Actually, over 100 people have helped us out. And first of all, I just want to thank everyone. We send out a survey probably once a month or so, just to try to gauge how you think we're doing, how everybody else is doing, how we can help you best. So your participation is key to us delivering the best content we can. So first of all, big thanks right there. And so what we did is we took a look at that survey. And like I said, it's been going for a couple months now, so it's got a lot of great participation. And we aggregated the question where we asked, what were your biggest fears? And from that aggregation, we've pulled the top 5 fears or myths, as we're now going to call them, because we've sort of arranged them and titled them for you. And so that's going to be the theme of the podcast tonight. And of course, on the phone with me, my partner in crime, Jordan Reasoner. How you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to dispel some of these epic myths. I know I was personally scared as hell when I started the SCD diet, so looking forward to this, dipping into some of those fears and how I used to be scared out of my mind. So let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to rock the mic here because I've obviously had some of these as well. So
Excellent. I think I'm gonna kick it off tonight, man. I think I'm gonna dive right in. I've got some good ones here, and I'm ready to get started.
let's do it.
All right, great. So we've been through the survey. We've kind of aggregated everything into 5 buckets, and these are the top 5 myths. And I'm going to start with number 5 because we don't want to start with the best first. It's like David Letterman. We're going to count it down. So number 5, we got a few comments like, I'm really afraid of not being able to eat out with friends, dining out at restaurants, or at friends' house who don't understand my limitations. Another quote was, when I eat out at someone's house, that they're not telling you all the ingredients they used when they made the food. A lot of comments like that. So we've kind of grouped this in as SCD Diet myth number 5. I can't have a normal social life / I will lose all my friends.
Man, not true. But I was there, and I definitely had this fear. This was probably my number one fear, actually, when I started the diet. At the time, I was in Chicago. I had a very active social life, going out all the time, and I've always been trying to be as social as possible. So this was a huge concern for me because I think everybody knows that in the Western culture, food is pretty interwoven into our diets and our culture, or not in our diets, but into our culture. Um, so this is a myth because honestly, I get more friends now because of the diet. Um, I haven't lost any friends because of it. I haven't lost any friends because I didn't eat their food when I went to their house. I haven't lost any friends or family members when, we went out to a restaurant and I didn't eat anything. It didn't happen. I totally thought it would. I thought it was going to be weird. I thought they would, maybe make fun of me or maybe they would stop inviting me out or something like that. Turns out it was all in my head, just all limiting beliefs in my head. And actually, what I found, because I kind of tried to play with this and see the best way to handle this fear, if I went out and I wasn't feeling my greatest, if I was feeling like pretty apprehensive because I was maybe doing something for work or I felt like maybe a date or something, this was more important than just going out with my buddies, the weirder I thought it was in my head, the weirder it happened in real life. And so that's just something to put out there that if you just ignore it and just this is normal for you now. When you start SCD, normal for you now is not to eat somebody else's food. It's for you to be prepared, eat before you go over to their house, and then just hang out. And if they ask, "Are you hungry?" Say, "No, thanks. Actually, I already ate." And if they pester you more about it, hey, I'm on this special diet right now for a medical condition, and yeah, man, I'm just here to hang out with you. So let's get back to the game. Or you go out to the restaurant, you're there with your friends, there's like 6, 8, 10 of you. It doesn't matter. Eat before you go or eat after, and just order water with lemon. And at first, it might be a little weird. Everybody's gonna be like, "Well, what are you having?" And you're like, "No, I'm just having water, a little lemon, or just water, maybe some coffee or something." And then be like, "Well, aren't you hungry?" You're like, "Yeah, I remember I'm on that diet thing. I'm just not in a good place right now to eat out, but I'm so happy to be here, be present, and just enjoying the conversation with you guys tonight." And swear to God, no one will think anything else. I mean, that's really what it is. And to be honest, if you're at a big table, you're eating with friends, what happens when the food comes? You know, a lot of times the conversations get all chopped up, and things don't usually flow as well once the food starts getting on the table. So I would encourage everyone just to take that time to take a deep breath and really notice and be present with the conversations that are happening. As people are eating, notice the ambiance of the restaurants, appreciate all the little things that you probably never noticed because you were just salivating over that burger and fries or something. So, and then, I mean, to be honest, if you're worried about, alcohol-related situations or bar situations, there's nothing to be worried about there. You don't have to drink if you want to. There are SCD legal alcohol drinks if you do want them. And like I said, this was my number one fear starting the diet. And so I know I mentioned it before, but I did dedicate like 7 pages in our hacks guide, our SCD lifestyle, 25 ways to hack the SCD diet, just to handling the types of situations I just talked about. So it's totally doable. Don't be afraid of it. It's totally not true.
Oh, excellent, Steve. I like you were tossing out a little judo zen Buddha mindfulness there. I like it. I did want to add that really to put it all in one little context for you. My friendships and my social life is 10 times better now that I'm on the diet because I don't feel sick as hell whenever I'm hanging out anymore. I wasn't very fun to hang out with when I was looking for the bathroom pooping all day long. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, so what if you have to eat some different food? You're probably going to have a lot more fun with your friends. You'll probably have more friends, and they'll probably like you a lot more if you're not always running to the bathroom, freaking them out. And the other thing I'll add is that, we've told this story a lot before on other podcasts. So if you're a long-time listener, thank you for being the one long-time listener. We appreciate it. But the stories about going to work with our lunch boxes, going to these meetings, and actually being the center of attention because everybody is drawn towards us because we're doing something unique and special and taking care of our bodies, and they actually want to know about it. And we always end up talking about people's poop when we just met them 5 minutes ago. It's fascinating, fascinating thing. So it's actually been 10 times better social life since I've been on the diet. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, and since I'm a longtime friend of Jordan, it's true. Even before, because he's been on the diet before I was on the diet, and it's totally true what he just said. He's a way better friend now. Just kidding. Kind of.
Yeah, well, you aren't, so I'm not sure what happened there. So. I'm just kidding.
Well, when you're only present 50% of the time when you come over, then it's hard to have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're just kidding. It's all good. It's all good. We do work together too, so it's pretty fun. We get to take our food to meetings together, our big lunch boxes. So it's interesting.
Yep. Cool. Well, I think that number 5 has been dispelled. It's not true.
I agree. I agree. Definitely dispelled.
Okay, let's move on to number 4. All right. I don't know if I wish we had like a drum roll we could insert in here. So imagine drum roll in your head right now. Number 4. So the aggregated responses were such things like not having enough fiber. I'm not going to be able to get enough nutrients from SCD diet. I'm wondering if I'm getting all the vitamin and nutrients I need. I'm scared I won't get them. I already have an iron deficiency, and I think this might get worse. And the big time one is I don't know if I'll be able to get enough calories. How am I going to get the calories? So that rolls us all into myth number 4, that on the SCD diet, there is not enough X, fill in the blank with fiber, carbohydrates, nutrients, or calories. Jordan, take it away.
Excellent. I want to be like those guys on Mythbusters, man. Like, we got to blow something up during this podcast, I feel like. So I'm going to
The,
blow up number 4. I'm going to blow it up. Here we go. Here's what I'm going to say. If if you didn't if you're coming into SCD with leaky gut and malabsorption, you need to realize that you're probably only absorbing 50% of the nutrients, calories that you're eating anyways. So my question to you is, what difference does it make if you're eating pizza or and getting sicker for that matter, and you're only getting 50% of it, or if you're eating a healthy SCD diet and you're only getting 50% of it? I think personally, I'm going to take the 50% of the healthy stuff that's packed with nutrients and minerals and vitamins that I need, as opposed to 50% of the bad stuff that's going to make me sicker. And it took me a long time to realize that. But I did lose a lot of weight when I first started the diet, so I can relate to that. There was a lot of fear. I thought, man, I'm losing a lot of weight. I'm not getting enough calories. It's all the diet's fault, you know. But it was a legitimate fear because, frankly, I looked like Skeletor. And in fact, there was a point, my first month in the diet, where a woman at work, she stopped me and asked me if, she pulled me aside and said, Jordan, do you need some help? Do you need to talk about your eating disorder? So that was a moment that really played into my fears. Like, wow, I really must look bad. But the reality is that once you start healing in the first 30 days on the SCD diet, you'll realize that this is a myth because you'll slowly start to heal. You'll start to absorb more of the nutrients, more of the vitamins and minerals. You'll actually be getting more of the calories into your bloodstream as opposed to just passing them through. And then above and beyond that, you know, things like iron deficiency, you know, eat a grass-fed beef liver once a week, and that'll dramatically help your iron deficiency. Plus, when you start to heal and you have less bleeding, you're not going to have issues with iron deficiency. So the SCD diet is all natural, healthy, vitamin and packed foods. So another example, I'm kind of a grasshopper of Steve's. He's kind of my calorie dieting sensei, and he taught me all about the fact that, you know, when you eat, say, a pound of pasta, it has a lot more calories than when you eat like a pound of meat, just to be dramatic. But when you're eating a pound of meat, it's a lot more volume to taking up space in your stomach, but not as many actual calories because carbs are so high in calories, but they're not necessarily good calories. So you have to sort of switch your mindset and realize that you need to eat a little bit more food when you first transition to the diet, and you won't have to worry about getting enough calories. And you can use tools like fitday.com, which we've talked about extensively. We have a video on the blog. I'll post a link to it, showing you how to use FitDay. But really what it comes down to is this diet is going to help you heal and get better, and the other diet isn't. So I think that's where I'm going to blow up number 4, and I'm going to leave it at that. Any final words, Sensei?
yeah. I just want to attack a couple of things there. One is that if you're using Fit Day, or if this is a true, like, you are firmly held that this is not a myth, then I would challenge you to pull up Fit Day or nutrition data or any calorie counter online for that matter, and just compare like a slice of wheat bread versus 4 ounces of any meat, or versus you know, some spinach or something like that. And I'm not saying compare the calories. I mean compare the nutrients. See how many units of vitamin A, how many units of D or E or C or anything. You know, selenium, magnesium, calcium, potassium. What's actually in wheat and grains, in those, you know, fiber bars and those other junky processed food bars that they sell us? What's actually in that versus what's in the equivalent amount of like a whole food or like an SCD food, so meat, for instance. And 10 times out of 10, the whole food always wins the nutrient battle. Always. It just does. You can't inject enough nutrients into grains to make them as good or better than whole foods. It's just not possible. And then also, when it comes to fiber, I hear this quite often, and that's just simply untrue. That's just horrible marketing by large companies that you need more fiber than what you're going to take in from eating whole foods. That's absolutely untrue. It's never been proven in any studies. You don't need to be taking Metamucil. You don't need to worry about fiber if you're eating whole foods. You'll get enough. I mean, fiber is in everything we eat. It's in vegetables. It's in fruits. It's in the meat. It's gonna be in there. So if you're just eating whole foods, you'll get all the fiber you need. I mean, our ancestors didn't have Metamucil. Heck, my great grandpa didn't have Metamucil, and I think he did all right. So those are just a couple of things I want to throw out there. And the whole calorie thing, and we harp on that because Jordan went through that, and I kind of helped him to get back out of that, and we've helped a lot of other people get out of that. And so we really try to preempt you to be ready for the situation because it's not a myth that things are going to have to change. You're going to have to eat differently once you start SCD. So we really want to be upfront about that. But yeah, this whole myth about you're not going to get enough carbs or nutrients or calories, blah, 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 totally busted.
Excellent, excellent advice, and you filled in a couple of good holes there. And I think for everybody listening out there, if you're worried about calories, you really need to do the challenge that Steve just gave you to go and compare. And then he actually did that to me, and he actually had me questioning, well, do you really know what 4 ounces of meat looks like? Do you really know? Do you have a scale? Have you ever weighed 4 ounces of meat? And I kept blowing him off like, whatever, dude. I'm just going to pout in my weight loss and whatever. Just leave me alone. Let me pout in it. And when I finally gave in and was like, okay, Steve, I'm going to try this, he was right. Like I threw some meat on there. I thought it was going to be like 12 ounces, and it was like 7. And I just totally blew my mind. I realized I wasn't even eating half of what I thought I was. And then just comparing them on fit day versus, a slice of bread just blew my mind. I mean, I couldn't believe I actually had been eating that for the last 25 years of my life. So don't blow it off. Definitely do that experiment. That's awesome value. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm ready to move on to number 3. Myth number 3. Okay, so some of the responses we got were people saying things like, I'm worried and afraid that I won't stick to the diet. Or I'm worried and afraid that I will cheat and not be able to succeed. Or I've started and stopped this many times and I'm just afraid I'm not going to keep up with it. That I'm going to ruin my chances of success if I accidentally cheat or even if I intentionally cheat. People saying things like, I'm just worried that I might overdo foods that are legal and cause even more food allergies. And we kind of bundled that all up into myth number 3. I'm afraid that I'm going to do it wrong. So Steve, what do you have on that?
I would add addendum to that says I'm going to do it wrong and I'm going to cheat or not be able to stick to it. And that is busted.
Very nice.
Seriously busted. So doing it wrong, if you start SCD, you just made the biggest decision and the best decision of your life. So that's doing it right there. So that is way better than sitting on the sidelines and continuing to investigate diet after diet or investigating more prescription drugs that'll probably make you sicker in the long run than just taking action and trying it. Everybody is going to make mistakes. So this whole thing of what if I cheat, then it's over, or if I accidentally get an illegal that my family member put in there, or that I didn't know that I have to restart, or it's all over and the world's ending, Chicken Little. It's not. It's really not. It's just part of the process. We talk about this several times on and off throughout the blog. But this is a learning process. This is like learning a new skill. You're learning a whole new diet, almost like a whole new culture. You have to learn how to shop, where to get the foods, where the best sources of the foods are, how to prepare those foods, then how to change it up so that you don't get bored with it. And in the process, you're going to make a couple mistakes. And trust me, I've made tons of mistakes, and I've cheated illegally way too many times to count, both on purpose and not on purpose. From things like I would find something and make some sweet spice concoction, and I'd be like, tell Jordan about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, like 2 of those ingredients are illegal, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. 2, I think I've chronicled it before in my journals about my different cheating binges when I started, and peer pressures that I gave into and getting wrapped up in parties with families. Um, I'm still here. I'm rocking it out. I'm doing good. So I'm a testament to cheating does not end it all for you. It's not the end all be all. It's just part of the learning process. And I think every time you do cheat, if you're willing to own up to it and just stick to the road, stick to the path you chose, which was SCD, you're going to be better for it. That doesn't mean go try it or anything, but I'm just saying if you look at it objectively and ask yourself, okay, what went wrong? Was it just an accident? Okay, no big deal if it was. If it wasn't an accident, why did I really cheat? And if I cheated, was it is really as good as what I thought it was? Because I'm not gonna lie, um, you know, about a year into the diet, somewhere in there, I just had this horrible day, and there was no reason. I wasn't even hungry, but I passed a McDonald's, and I wanted a Big Mac, and I was all about that Big Mac. I wasn't even. I think I already ate like 5 meals that day. But I stopped and I got a Big Mac, and I thought I couldn't wait. I was just salivating for this Big Mac, and I thought it was going to be the greatest. I turned everything off, and it was just me and this Big Mac, and I was going to eat it and not be disturbed. And I got like halfway through it, and I was like, man, this is what a Big Mac tastes like? Like crap. Like what happened? Like I thought it was so much better. So I think over time you'll learn that some of the cheats that you think when you begin the diet are something that you're forever tied to, you'll never be without. I think you'll learn as you see what the real food does to you, how it changes your palate. Um, Even later on when you try to cheat or you just can't take it anymore, I think if you really objectively look at it, you'll realize that it's not really what you want anymore. So, I mean, you're not going to be doing it wrong. Basically, the myth is busted because you can't do it wrong if you start. Just start and do it. That's as far as doing it right there. Now, yeah, you're going to make some tweaks. Yeah, you're going to make some mistakes. That's the biggest reason why we created our book to make it easier to make those tweaks, to make it easier to figure out those mistakes. But doing it is the first step. There's no doing it wrong, I don't think. What do you think on that, Jordan?
That was some excellent wisdom and knowledge from experience. I think, when I think about my fears related to that, I remember when I read BTVC, I thought, there's no way I can do this right. I felt like there was so many walls or foundations or rules in place that I thought my head was spinning, like, how can I even approach this systematically without screwing it up? And that was a huge fear for me, and I actually let that stop me from starting the diet for a month. I stewed on it for a month. And to think about that, that's actually a month that I could have been feeling better looking back on it. But, finally my wife just said, why haven't you just tried it? Just try it. You don't know what's going to happen. And she woke me up, and I started it, and I screwed up. I did a lot of things like Steve said, I messed up, but it was okay. It's like riding a bike, you're going to fall down. It's just part of the necessary process to get to the end, which is riding the bike, which is feeling good on SCD. You're going to have bad days, you're going to screw up, but in that 30 days, you're going to feel a lot better than you did before you started. So I think that's the message there. Bust number 3 by just giving it a shot for 30 days. You're not going to do it wrong.
Yep. Yep, and the whole sticking with it is just making a decision. You have to make the ultimate decision, like Jordan said. Pick 30 days, pick 90 days, pick a year. I actually don't pick a year. Pick a short-term goal, 30, 60, 90, something like that, and reevaluate at the end of that. But be serious about that decision for however many days you pick, and then be serious about the looking back on it. And I think you'll keep on it. Cool. So number 3 is busted, down the drain. So let's move on. Number 2. So for number 2, some of the responses we have are being on it for the rest of my life. This is a fear, also a positive, but I will never be able to eat grains again. The lifetime commitment, losing the carbs. I need these for exercise. Also, what if it doesn't work? Is SCD short-term or long-term? Why does removing starch, sugar, carbs work so well for some but not for others? Will I ever be able to eat sugar again without injuring my gut? Another fear is I will never be able to eat regular food again. SCD has made me sensitive to everything. And another fear is, how long will this healing take? We are limited on time and money already. So we kind of rolled those all together into number two, myth number two, that I might be forced like this to eat, that I might be forced to eat like this forever, in reference to SCD.
Excellent, Steve. Okay, so this is a good one. And, I think a lot of people, when they approach SCD, and especially when they read BTDC, I know that Elaine has a line in there about, you know, eating the diet for a while and then going back and returning to a normal diet. Um, I think reading that line in BTDC gave me the confidence right before the day before I started that I needed that thought to be able to start the diet. And in fact, there are people that follow SCD and heal and then go on to a normal diet again. Um, we did an interview with Carol, a 10-year SCD veteran, and I know she has been expanding her diet lately back to some bigger, better things that she thinks that she wants to try, which is great, if you're feeling healthy. But the message that Steve touched on, during myth number 3 is once you start eating healthy and once you start feeling great and you have double the energy you've ever had in your life, you bounce out of bed, you just plow through the day, you're never tired, you're never looking for the bathroom, you stop getting colds, you stop getting the flu, you stop getting sick all the time, you just little things like that happen. Your knee stops hurting when it used to hurt for the last 5 years of your life. Little things that you pick up, you just realize that you're a better person. You think more clearly. You have more love for your family. You enjoy the little things in life more. And you realize that it's because of the food that you're eating. And that's why a lot of the reason that we named our site SCD Lifestyle. Because over time, a lot of people end up not thinking of SCD as a way that they're forced to eat, but a way that they choose to eat. It's a lifestyle choice. And, you're kind of forced into it in the beginning because all you want to do is get better. But once you're better, you realize that you're on the other side. And you look down at the other people that maybe ate a standard American diet because, you just feel good. So I think that it's a busted myth. And I think that the reason is that a lot of the SCD veterans that we talk to that feel really good, that have taken control of their health, that stopped the diarrhea, stopped the constipation, ended the fatigue, they end up kind of staying pretty healthy the rest of their lives. They stay pretty SCD the rest of their lives, and that's because they choose to, because they know they feel good. But there are some cases where people go back to being able to eat whatever they want. But, the other thing is some people just eat a cheat day one day a week once they're healthy. But the reality is that once your body heals and a lot of things return to normal, like your gut flora returns back to a normal state of symbiotic relationships together with good and bad bacteria. You eliminate yeast overgrowths, you eliminate leaky gut, you get all your nutrient, vitamin, mineral levels up. Once all those things kind of happen, the injury to your gut isn't going to be as severe when you're eating things like that, but that takes a long time to heal. It took a long time to get sick. It takes a long time to heal and reduce inflammation in your body. So I think number 2 is busted. It was a big fear of mine when I first dove in, but I held on to some hope that maybe I'd be able to eat, starches and stuff someday again, and I might be able to. I really haven't even broached the subject at this point just because I feel so great. I just haven't even thought about it. So I don't know. Maybe Steve, can you give a little more advice on that?
Yeah, sure. So this is definitely a fear of mine as well, because I think it kind of goes back to that whole why do you really want to be forced? Like, what is behind that force to eat like this forever? And to me, it's not about the food. It's about what you're missing out on, what you think you're going to miss out on, which is like maybe the love of eating with your family, or maybe some of the different events, like baseball games or something like that includes food that you think you're going to miss out on, and because of this new diet, you're not going to be able to be a part of these things. So to me, this forced to eat like this forever is not about like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry my eyes out every day if I can't eat wheat bread. It's more about, what do I get when I eat food that other people eat? And so I think it's totally untrue just because of what I talked about in myth number 5. It's not about the food. And if if you change the food you eat and you feel good like Jordan talked about, I think you'll have a new appreciation for how food relates to your body. Now, I'm a little bit different than Jordan, and I've definitely tried different foods. I've tried to add in some others, and I've talked with a lot of people about adding back in grains. And because, I mean, that's essentially all that we've really eliminated on SCD is grains. Um, and it kind of comes down like this. Like the research is still out there, but it if we've already been susceptible to disease once, and then you take so long to get healthy and you put so much work into it, I myself, I've gone off it a little bit and then come back to it every time because I start to see my body declining, like Jordan was talking about. I start to see declines in my mental ability. My, blood sugar gets a little out of whack. And it just turns out that eating the things that a lot of other people eat is not what I want to do to myself. And I already know that I have to admit to myself that I have a little bit more susceptibility if I go back to eating the way I was before SCD. Like I guess it would be kind of insane for me to literally go back and eat exactly the way I was, never like get rid of all these healthy habits I've built and expect that I will, live the next 10 years and not ever having a digestive problem again. I think that's a little bit absurd. But I do think that you can work your way back into the foods, just like Jordan talked about. There's a lot of veterans out there that have gone back to eating grains. I mean, I don't know what people call regular food. Like I think regular food is whole food. I think processed food is unregular food. Like if it has ingredients that I can't pronounce, I don't think that's regular food. Just because that's what society eats, I don't think that's regular. But I know a lot of people and myself in the pinch have done just fine with eating one day of, quote, regular food or processed food. And I don't have any troubles as long as I get right back to SCD. Of course, granted, I've been on the diet for about a year and a half now. But, I mean, that's just something to think about. I think this fear is really rooted in not knowing. And it's not something that you should judge right now because I don't think you have all the information. So it's totally busted because until you do that commitment we talked about and really evaluate how your body changes, then I think you can weigh in on what does food mean to you and what do you get from it. So.
That was great, man. Excellent, excellent. All right, let's move on to the number one myth of SCD legends. Are you ready?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. What is it?
I know you're going to be shocked because it's something that we never talk about all the time.
I I know.
I wish I could. I might have to hire an editing guy just to put an amazing drum roll in for this one. But I'll make one here on my desk. Ready? All right. Number one SCD diet myth. The diet won't work for me and I'm wasting my time. So here's some of the comments we got. I'm worried that the diet won't work or even help. Is it going to work? I'm worried that it won't work. I've burned through all my medications that are considered reliable for Crohn's. I don't have any options left. I don't want my options to be debilitating drugs. It's not working for me, and I've wasted 2 years of my life where my health and energy levels have all suffered. That was a fear. I'm afraid that the diet's not going to work. I'm not taking any meds, and I'd really like to keep it that way. I really hope SCD works for me so I can live symptom-free and healthy. So, Steve, what are your thoughts, man?
Dude, I didn't even see this one coming. I never thought of this. When I was reading Breaking the Vicious Cycle, I swear to God I closed the book and I never even thought of this. It's so weird. So weird. Man, there's some crazy people out there. Just kidding, because I was definitely right up there with my, tied number one, number two with me. First, I always care about my social life, and then number two was, am I about to waste my time? Really, is this going to work for me? Am I going to waste my time? And so I think this is it totally makes sense. This is number one fear of people out there, and I can understand why, because Jordan and I were both there. We read Breaking the Vicious Cycle. We Googled our faces off. Our keyboards have grooves in them from Googling about this type of stuff. And it's totally unfounded because it will work. I mean, that's what we've kind of built our book around and built our blog around, is that everyone is a little bit different. Everybody has a little bit different scenario. They have a different little, everything about their lifestyle is a little bit different. So as long as you're building a diet that's customized for you, then it will work. It's going to. I mean, why would we put you in a classification and say, oh, you have to do this one diet, X, Y, Z, and no deviations? That doesn't make sense. You're your own individual with your own problems, your own solutions, everything. So I think the diet will work, and I think it'll work for everyone. Um, but guess what? You'll never know until you try. Never know. It's Lane said that it won't work for everyone, and I think from our inbox, it looks like, it pretty much works for everyone, but there are a couple of people who definitely have a lot of trouble. Um, but I think they still feel better than when they're not eating an SCD. It's just that they don't get all the goals and results that they're looking for from SCD. So you won't know this until you try. You really won't, and I can't answer this question. And why would you be wasting your time? You won't be wasting your time. You're learning a new skill. You're learning about foods you probably never bought before in your life. You're learning how to cook new ways that you've probably never tried to cook before. You might actually be able to cook like Thanksgiving dinner this year or something because you're such a mad cook by the end of this. It's just little things like that that you won't be wasting your time at all. You'll actually be enriching your life in many ways you never would have guessed. But I think this is really the ultimate fear because it's just change. Like this is a challenge to everyone out there, and it's a challenge that breaking the vicious cycle issues to you when you close it is, oh my gosh, she just described what could be happening in me. Now what do I do? And I think, the biggest thing here is you're just afraid of change. 30 days is 1/12 of a year. It's not that long. And if 30 days doesn't work, go try a different diet. Try paleo. Try GAPS. Who knows? It's not that big of a commitment. Nobody's asking for the world, and it's all up to you. We're not asking you to start. It's totally up to you. It's totally on your shoulders. But um, I've got nothing but great benefits from the diet. It's totally changed my world, my life, my health, everything. And so I think the best thing to do is just push through the little fear there, push through the pain of learning a new skill, of trying a new thing, and the diet will work for you.
Man, you're bringing it tonight. You're in the zone. Love it.
Trying, man. Laser.
All right. Laser focused. Okay. All I'm going to say is that, you hit it on the head, man. When I actually read BTVC, I had thought I tried everything. I tried liver dumps and cleanses and colon cleanses and bacterial weird herb mixes that made weird things happen to my body. I think I tried every diet. I tried gluten-free, dairy-free, casein-free, soy-free, nut-free, everything-free, elimination diets. I tried it all, and then I read BTVC, and I said, how is this going to be any different than the last 15 million things that have just made me poop my brains out? And, and so, yeah, I mean, that was a legitimate fear. I was scared. Why would I waste my time on another thing when I can just sit here and eat a pizza, a gluten-free pizza, I guess, and and be okay with it? But the reality is that I was uncomfortable and sick enough that I was willing to give it a shot. I was at a position where it was like, well, it's try this or nothing. And I had to make that decision. And I was in a position to make that decision. If you're only a little bit sick, and it's going to be harder for you to make that change in your life. But for me, I was there, man, and my family was looking for me to do something, and it was time. So I took the plunge. And, I found out in 7 days that the diet was going to work for me. Although I'm pretty lucky because I went into it knowing I wouldn't be able to have dairy and egg. A lot of people don't know that. So we always preach, we have systems and tactics to help you make the diet work for you because it will. You just have to tweak it. So we have things like the food safe zone, which when you create it, you'll know you'll feel good when you eat these certain foods. And that's all described in our book, and we even have lots of it on the blog. Another tactic is the four dark horsemen of SCD. Avoid those foods if the diet isn't working for you. Those are the four things that are usually causing failure on the diet. Take them out. Try again. We have these tactics in place. We have the phases. We have the 4-day introduction period. We have all these things, and they're tools for you to use to make SCD work for you. And it's thousands of people have downloaded our free quick start guide at this point, and I feel pretty confident in saying that there hasn't been many people that have emailed us and said, Jordan, Steve, I bought your book and I tried every one of your tactics and I still feel like crap. The diet doesn't work for me. I'm getting my colon removed. And it's like, if we do get some emails sometimes from people that think the diet's not working for them, we get them on the phone and we talk to them. And I'll say, what's going on? Have you tried this 4-Dog Horseman? Yeah. What'd you eat yesterday? Oh, I had 2 bananas and 3 cups of applesauce for breakfast. And it's like, okay, so let's do some things to tweak. A couple days later, they feel great. It's tweakable. Use the tools that you have. Don't give in to the fear. You can do this. Once you make the decision, it's just a matter of time. That's all it takes, a little more time. So, Steve, I think that's a good wrap-up for tonight, man. We hit on some good things. We talked about some high-level stuff tonight instead of getting real tactical, which I like. I want to start off by asking you, people have been submitting questions to us. We took a week off the Q&A. But if people have even more questions after our podcast tonight, what can they do to ask us questions for the next podcast?
Well, the number one thing they should do is they should click on the link in this podcast down below this player and submit something. Submit anything. You got a fear, frustration you just want us to jive on. You got something in the news you want us to talk about. You got something in your life that you're having trouble with, Whatever it is surrounding, SCD or health or digestion, throw it in there. Because, we'll pick it up and we'll jive on it. Can't guarantee what happens.
I love it. So next week we're probably going to get back to the Q&A. I'm sure we'll have a nice load of new questions from you guys. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, Steve, is if I just listen to this podcast and I still have 50 million questions about some of the fears or frustrations I'm having, even 6 months into the diet, what can I do to learn more?
That's a great question. So the number one thing is, do you have our book? If not, I would say that our book will probably be the number one thing that'll help you. Because as Jordan mentioned, we've developed a lot of tools taken from a lot of different areas of medicine, a lot of different diets that will help, and this is really powerful what Jordan said, make SCD work for you. Make it work for you. So this is on your shoulders. The tools are in the book. They're all over our blog. It's just tweaking stuff and trying stuff to create your personal version of SCD. And say you've bought the book, you've been trying this for a long time, it's still not working, just email us. Email us, submit a podcast question, whatever it is, just get a hold of us somehow, and we'll figure out a way to figure something out for you.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, bring it home, man. Let's bring home number 20.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. So, wrapping it up, we shared a lot of great tips tonight. We've dispelled the top 5 myths of SCD. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast number 20.